it's Kaylee Water Ninja here with another Sonic video. After my last one with Shadow and Maria gaining so much traction, and my love for the Sonic universe growing by the day, I decided another character should be the focus of my next video. Which, once again, I would like to apologize for my slow upload schedule, but as a dual enrollment student and marching band member, I don't have much free time to work on personal projects. But regardless of that, I chose to pursue the secrets of Metal Sonic for today's presentation. As I began to realize how many renditions there were over the years, my curiosity was piqued, and I challenged myself to discover each and every type there was. However, after finding more information than I could fit into one video, I decided to split this into two parts, with the first covering the pre-Genesis wave alone. So without further ado, let's get into the video. To start off, the Sonic universe is split into two groups, the pre-Genesis wave and the post-Genesis wave, with each containing its own sleuth of Metal Sonics. In fact, after approximate calculation, there is at least 37 variants I found. With so many metal menaces flying around, it can be confusing as to which timeline they came from, so I hope to clear that up today. In short, the pre-Genesis wave was the Sonic universe before the use of the Super Genesis wave that reset the timeline into what is now the post-Genesis wave or New Sonic comic universe. This means that everything except Captain Metal and Metal Sonic version 3.8 was lost from the pre-Genesis wave in the current timeline of the franchise, as far as we know. Furthermore, this led to duplicates of Metal Sonic types, with slight variations, which causes even more chaos and confusion over which version you are referring to. Basically, each timeline has its own first Metal Sonic, so to keep things in order, I will be starting at the beginning of the pre-Genesis wave with Metal Sonic version 1.0. Although the pre-wave seems to have started with Silver Sonic, I'm going to start with the Metal Sonic series first. To summarize the character, Metal Sonic is an advanced badnik with varying amounts of AI over the series that was built by Dr. Eggman in order to defeat Sonic. The design was based off of Sonic himself and combined many of Eggman's best machinery to create the formidable foe. However, even with these seemingly foolproof advantages, Metal Sonic continues to fail over and over, which leads to him being rebuilt into new versions each time. As for version 1.0, it overheated its engine while catching up to Sonic and ended up melting its lower half. In response, Metal Sonic version 2.0 was created with a Power Gem core to stop Knuckles and the Chaotix. During the battle, it actually transformed into one of 5 Titan Metal Sonic types using that Power Gem. It was originally called Metal Sonic Kai and later Titan Metal Sonic version 2.0 to differentiate between the other Titans. Knuckles defeated it in the end, but his core allowed it to survive and become a new and improved Metal Sonic version 2.5. Version 2.5 then kidnapped Tails and held him hostage, but ended up growing a conscience at the sight of Sonic and Tails' interactions. It ended up sacrificing itself to save them, but the Power Gem inside it was still operable despite its apparent death. After some time, version 2.5 was reconstructed by Sir Charles Hedgehog with the parts of Metal Scourge, the Metal Troopers, and another Metal Sonic. He was then renamed Shard and joined the Freedom Fighters with the call sign Jack. Sonic referred to him as the original Mecha Sonic to set him apart from Metal Sonic. Additionally, there is an off panel in the comics that shows what a Titan version of Shard could look like, but this never comes to be. As for his reality in the post-Genesis wave, it appears he no longer exists as the Super Genesis wave caused there to only be one Metal Sonic in existence. However, as Captain Metal survived the change, Shard might still exist. If not, it is possible Shard was combined with Metal Sonic just as Dr. Ivo Robotnik and Dr. Eggman were. Even so, the robot Gemeral in the post-wave has the same color, personality, and role as Shard, which is sort of a homage or replacement to him. After the reformation of version 2.5, version 3.0 was put into action. Now, Metal Sonic version 3.0 shouldn't be confused with Metal Sonic 3.0 from Sonic Rivals 2, as they are different robots. Continuing on, version 3.0 was sent to investigate a lost military base, but was soon defeated after Sonic and Shadow stopped an incoming missile. Later, version 3.1 was sent to fight Shadow as he had located their facility on Prison Island. Much combat took place, but eventually version 3.1 was destroyed by Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Then, version 3.2 was released. This model actually allowed Eggman to speak through it with radio transmission, and was sent with Metal Scourge to Freedom HQ. In the end, both were destroyed by the Suppression Squad, also known as the evil anti-freedom fighters, and their parts were used to reconstruct Shard. By the way, Metal Scourge is the robot counterpart to Scourge the Hedgehog, which is an alternate universe evil Sonic from the planet Anti-Mobius. But anyway, in response to the loss, version 3.3 was built with a newer SXSU-401 engine instead of the typical STH-25, which let it transport itself to any dimension. This Metal Sonic actually rebelled against Eggman in a personal pursuit of Sonic. However, while version 3.3 was in the Soul Zone, that area became rewritten with only certain elements surviving. This was a result of the first use of the Super Genesis Wave by Dr. Eggman, which was supposed to erase that zone completely. Only the Jeweled Scepter saved the zone from that fate. Version 3.3 ended up making it through and was later rebuilt as Captain Metal. These events caused version 3.4 to be created, and it worked together with a damaged Silver Sonic version 3 to stop Sonic. Afterwards, the Roboticizer, which turns organic creatures into robots, was activated and hit Silver Sonic in version 3.4, in turn destroying them as they were already robots. Now version 3.5 is released and it was teamed up with Mecha Sally, though it didn't take long for it to be destroyed again. Dr. Eggman ordered version 3.5 to latch onto a Mobo cruiser and detonate to kill the Acorn family, but it just ended up exploding itself in the end. Next is version 3.6, which was paired with the rest of Robotnik's Metal series of Metal Sonic characters as new enforcers. In quick time, this model was defeated by Shard, the original Mecha Sonic. In response, Eggman deployed a new version 3.7 with his last power gem and the past memories of all of Metal Sonic's defeats implanted. He also incorporated a greater free will into it. This caused version 3.7 to at first defy orders to go after Shard instead of Sonic, but Eggman had installed a soft reboot Defiance kill switch to steer it in the desired direction. During the battle between version 3.7 and Shard, Shard realized destroying the power gem would defeat the enemy and went after it. But as he did, version 3.7 realized his vulnerability and caused it to explode, destroying itself and severely injuring Shard. With another quick defeat, version 3.8 was deployed. It also had the previous memories and was built from 3.7's remains. He was sent against his wishes to go after Sonic through an interdimensional gateway. After a while of battling, Eggman deployed the second Super Genesis Wave, which now caused the wiping of the pre-wave and the start of the post-wave. This new timeline made it where Metal Sonic version 3.8 had been his only model that he had used so far, with the exception of Captain Metal, which somehow still survived in the Soul Zone. This means that in the post-wave, Metal Sonic version 3.8 was the first Metal Sonic, but in the pre-wave, Metal Sonic version 1.0 was instead. Now, there are many more Metal Sonic types with just as much information to cover, so I will briefly cover the rest of the pre-wave variants instead of going as in-depth. If there is a certain one you want to know more about, then feel free to ask for a separate video on them. To summarize, the rest of the variants include Pseudosonic, which is a classic Badnik version of Sonic that was later discarded onto Misfit Badnik Island, Mecha Sonic, which was Sonic turned into a robot by Roboticizer and was later defeated by Mecha Knuckles, 3 different versions of Silver Sonic, not to be confused with the 3 Silver Sonic models in the post-wave, Titan Metal Sonic, created from Project Titan, Titan Metal Sonic attached to the Kudzu, which is a robot that combines other robot parts to become the Kudzu Hybrid Hydra, Metal Sonic Troopers, created by Sir Charles and Roadhor to defend against Eggman, an unnamed protector of Kintopolis, with half of a giant Chaos Emerald powering it, and an alternate universe Metal Sonic from the Another Place, Another Time reality. To clear a few things up, Silver Sonic is a bulkier and silver model that has had 6 variations over both timelines, and is considered the first Metal Sonic as it predates Pseudosonic and Metal Sonic version 1.0. Actually, the first model used information collected from Mecha Sonic, but it was Silver Sonic version 2 that is sometimes called Mecha Sonic. As you will notice, many different Metal Sonics are called Mecha Sonic, with some being of robotic or living origin. This can be determined by calling them Robot or Robian. But anyway, the second version was eventually reprogrammed by Nate Morgan to protect the city from Eggman, but while trying to stop Shadow from stealing a Chaos Emerald, it was destroyed by Shadow's Chaos Control. As for Silver Sonic version 3, which was larger, after it was destroyed by the Roboticizer with the Metal Sonic version 3.4, it was rebuilt, just to be destroyed by the gang again later. For Pseudosonic, he ended up being deemed a nuisance by Dr. Eggman during testing and was destroyed by Tails' static electricity trick later on. In the end, it was left in the island of old defeated mechanical foes of Sonic. On a different note, every rendition of Titan Metal Sonic is based off of Metal Sonic Kai from Knuckles' Chaotix, which transformed using a dark ring. Additionally, the Kudzu Hybrid Hydra Titan looks similar to Knuckles because the Kudzu had previously fused with Metal Knuckles before fusing with the Project Titan, Titan Metal Sonic. The last fact goes back to Mecha Sonic, which is Robian and not robot, meaning it came from a living thing. As Sonic was roboticized, he lost his emotions and began wreaking havoc on the city. After the same was done to Knuckles, you would think he'd lose his emotions as well. However, Mecha Knuckles was able to retain his humanity once roboticized to defeat Mecha Sonic because he used a Neuro Overrider. Afterwards, they were both returned to their regular bodies and all seemed well. However, later on, both Sonic and Tails were turned into robots again and forced to fight. Of course, in the end they won and were returned to their organic states once more. Wow, that is a lot, but really, that's still only for the pre-wave line of Metal Sonics. This is exactly why this will be split up with the next video covering the post-Genesis wave. Well, that's it for this video. Please like and subscribe and have a great rest of your day. Ninja Go!